Please unmute your mic.
Yeah, thank you very much. I believe that we have worked with this constitution for about 30 years. We've seen the flaws, we've seen the dangers in some of the provisions. Otherwise, I would say that it has served us well. And that if there is a compelling reason why we should have some amendment at this stage, I do not see why we should not have that political will to go through it. It is true that the entrenched clauses might require some referenda. I remember then when we were going to deal with the regions or so, we had to go through this process. The chair, also will remember all the work they did, and then eventually we went for the referendum. So I do not believe that the divisions should be said that it cannot work. If it is sold to the public and they appreciate what is at stake and why we should make certain amendments, I believe we would get through with it.
And when the president on Monday receiving the report says that this must never be done until and unless there is popular support for same, and that it's gone round for people to buy into it. How do you appreciate that has to be done? In what form should such a thing take?
You see, it seems to me that we haven't had the political will as a party to look at these constitutional amendments. Let me put on record that during the manifesto drafting in 2016, I was the chairman of the governance sector. I raised this issue. I said, look, we started something time back, and we are looking at laws and governance in general. So I would wish that we look at it again. It didn't go down well with the then candidates who became president for 2 terms. And you see that for all the 2 terms, we haven't really looked at constitutional amendments again. Regrettably, although it was at the ministerial level that the former Attorney General, I think you spoke about Gloria Kufu and the rest, it ended up getting no such a message also. Rather, his ministry to start working on it again. So we have not really, I would say it as it is, we've not really shown that kind of political will. I don't know whether it was the MPP or the government that asked Osechi Mensah Bonsu to look at it and come out with what he did, or that he looked at his own experiences as a leader of Parliament at the time, majority leader, and working with the Constitution and the difficulties that he felt. So to me, I don't think there are any sharp divisions. That phase is gone. Let's now come to this new era and sell the idea to Ghanaians and let them understand why we should do it. As you have rightly pointed out, the Fiajo one went round. I did a lot of work. I remember I joined Nana Akufo-Addo and others to go and make a presentation before them, remembering seeing my friend Gabriel Puama sitting there as a commissioner and all that. We were there to make, so they've done extensive work already. This Clara Kasati one, they are telling us that they looked at those that have already been made and didn't want to reinvent the wheel, and so tweaked it for us. So I don't think we need that wide consultations once again, except that the thing should rather go back to the people and let them decide whether they want these amendments, to be taken on board. Right.
So do you think that whatever happens, the NDC regime or administration incoming have a fine opportunity at least to take care of the non-entrenched provisions, because they will have the numbers in Parliament to do so. If there are problems with the entrenched provisions where you will need at least, is it 40% of people who can have a right to vote coming out, and 70% of that number voting for the amendment?
30% and 70%.
Well, I think that they've, on 2 occasions, I think 2016, 2020 or so, I've always had it as part of their manifesto that they were back on constitutional amendments. And the president-elect has made it clear that he would go ahead with it. So I will not be surprised that with their majority in Parliament, 2/3, if they have the 2/3, they should be able to, get with what we hear, even some of the independent candidates saying that they won't work with them, they should be able to make the changes that they intend to, because it is not only something that they talk about, but it is part of their manifesto. They've been saying what to do. So we wish them well.
In tackling the entrenched provisions, actually, the Constitution's requirement is for at least 40% of the persons entitled to vote coming out to vote in a referendum, and at least 75%, not 70, 75% of those people voting in favor of the process, the bill to pass.
Yes.
Did I hear you suggest that there is a bit of some coalescing of views, and therefore it is not difficult to get a consensus going forward?
You remember when we wanted that, I think Osache Mensah can correct me, when we wanted to amend the regions, it went through something of the sort, and we were able to get through for the people to vote for it. So it's all a matter of selling it to the people, letting them understand why certain provisions at this stage are not in the best interest of our country.
Okay.
And once we're able to do that, I believe we can get through.
Okay. From where you sit, in a minute, can you tell us, in terms of the capping the ministers and not bringing ministers from within Parliament, what should be the cap? And capping Parliament, the suggestion is that it should be 77. It shouldn't reduce. It should be 277. It shouldn't reduce it. And for the ministers, it should be capped at 55.
55.
Yes.
Yeah, with the ministerial thing, I think we've all been talking about it. In 2016, when we were writing the manifesto, the number of sector persons in that room was very small, because we were thinking of a lean government. Immediately after the election and the overwhelming results that came, I think the president then was overwhelmed. Then he thought, why don't I maybe sort of reward constituencies who voted for us. And he changed his mind, and he continued adding on to the numbers. That is where we reached, and nothing would make him change his mind. Even reshuffle, he will not bite. So this is nothing new. I think we have all spoken about it, that the number should come down.
All right.
So if it is 55, I think it will have a very large support. Okay. As for the parliamentary thing, if you look at how the constitution is drafted, he said after every census or so, you've got to look at the numbers again. I mean, every 7 years or 10 years we are doing it. So does it mean we keep on adding numbers? It doesn't make sense to me. Right. That thing should be cut, because they can't even find, as we said to James Abuso, if the members find place to sit. And they're thinking of going to build new parliaments and things like that. We should stop it somewhere and support it fully.
Thank you very much, Ayikoi Otoo there. So let me come back here so we finish up. So, Clara, do you have faith